Deep within the Nevada desert, hidden from prying eyes, stood the Erebus Research Facility. This remote location was chosen deliberately, far from civilization, to ensure that the activities within remained concealed from the public eye. The facility was a fortress of secrecy, its very existence known to only a handful of individuals who were sworn to silence. Surrounded by miles of barren landscape, the facility was a monument to mankind's insatiable curiosity and its terrifying potential for darkness. The isolation was not just physical, but also symbolic, representing the moral and ethical boundaries that were often crossed within its walls. The Erebus Research Facility was a place where the pursuit of knowledge often came at a great cost, both to the subjects of its experiments and to the souls of those who conducted them. It was here, in the sterile, echoing corridors, that the human psyche was probed, dissected, and manipulated in the name of science and national security. The facility's researchers delved into the deepest recesses of the mind, seeking to unlock secrets that could be weaponized. The cold, clinical environment was designed to strip away humanity, reducing individuals to mere subjects in a grand experiment. The flickering lights and the constant hum of machinery added to the sense of unease, a reminder that this was a place where normal rules did not apply. The facility's history was steeped in whispers of controversial experiments, whispers that spoke of mind control, sensory deprivation, and the sinister tendrils of M-Culture. These experiments were not just the stuff of conspiracy theories, they were real, documented, and carried out with a level of secrecy that bordered on paranoia. The researchers operated under the cloak of darkness, their work shielded from public scrutiny by layers of bureaucracy and classified documents. The shadowy figures who orchestrated these experiments were driven by a belief that the ends justified the means, no matter how inhumane those means might be. These whispers were more than mere rumors. They were the ghosts of unethical experiments past, their presence lingering in the very air, a constant reminder of the facility's chilling legacy. The walls of Erebus seemed to echo with the cries of those who had suffered within, their pain and torment etched into the very fabric of the building. The facility was haunted by its own history, a place where the past was never truly buried, and where the consequences of its actions continued to reverberate. Erebus, named after the Greek god of darkness, was an apt name. The name itself evoked a sense of foreboding, a reminder of the darkness that lay at the heart of the facility's work. It was a place where light rarely penetrated, both literally and metaphorically. The shadows that enveloped Erebus were not just a product of its remote location, but also a reflection of the moral ambiguity that defined its mission. It was a black box of secrets, its true purpose shrouded in layers of secrecy and misinformation. The facility's operations were cloaked in a veil of mystery, with even those who worked there often unaware of the full scope of its activities. The fog that surrounded Erebus was both literal and figurative, a barrier that kept the outside world at bay and ensured that the truth remained hidden. The facility was a labyrinth of hidden agendas and covert operations, a place where the line between reality and deception was often blurred. What happened within its walls was known only to a select few, their silence bought with lucrative grants and the heavy hand of government censorship. These individuals were the gatekeepers of Erebus's secrets, entrusted with knowledge that could potentially change the world. Their loyalty was ensured through a combination of financial incentives and the ever-present threat of repercussions should they betray their trust. The facility operated under a strict code of silence, with information compartmentalized and access restricted to only those with the highest clearance. The facility was a testament to the human capacity for both brilliance and depravity, a place where the lines between scientific exploration and reckless ambition blurred. It was a crucible of innovation and ethical compromise, where groundbreaking discoveries were often tainted by the methods used to achieve them. The scientists who worked at Erebus were pioneers in their fields, pushing the boundaries of what was possible, yet their work was also a stark reminder of the dangers that come with unchecked ambition and the pursuit of knowledge at any cost. The legacy of Erebus is a complex one, a story of both triumph and tragedy, a beacon of secrecy that continues to cast a long shadow over the annals of scientific history.
I'd always been drawn to the mysteries of the human mind. My ambition was as boundless as the desert that surrounded Erebus, my thirst for knowledge unquenchable. So when the opportunity arose to participate in a groundbreaking isolation experiment at the remote facility, I didn't hesitate. I saw it as a chance to make my mark on the world, to push the boundaries of human understanding.
The experiment, designed to study the effects of prolonged isolation on the human psyche, promised to be groundbreaking. Emma, with her sharp intellect and unwavering determination, seemed like the perfect candidate. She was confident in her abilities, certain that she could withstand the psychological rigors of isolation. But Emma was walking into the lion's den, oblivious to the horrors that awaited her. The experiment, shrouded in secrecy, was more sinister than she could have ever imagined. It was a one-way ticket into the abyss, a journey from which she might never return. The first few days of the experiment were uneventful. Emma, confined to a small, windowless room, filled her time with reading, writing, and exercising. The silence, though initially unnerving, became a constant companion. But as the days turned into nights, something changed. The silence was no longer peaceful. It was oppressive, pregnant with unseen menace. The white noise emanating from the speakers designed to mask any external sounds began to morph. Whispers seemed to slither from the static, faint at first, then growing steadily louder.
The flickering lights, a result of the facility's aging infrastructure, took on a sinister quality. They danced in the corners of my vision, casting long, grotesque shadows that seemed to writhe and contort. My mind, already teetering on the edge of sanity, began to doubt my own senses. Was I hallucinating, or was something far more sinister at play?
Section 4, Shadows of MK Ultra, The Ghost in the Machine.
As my mental state deteriorated, I felt an overwhelming sense of paranoia creeping in. Every shadow seemed to move. Every whisper seemed to carry a hidden message. The walls of the facility seemed to close in on me, suffocating me with their oppressive silence. I found myself drawn to the facility's infamous history, unable to resist the pull of its dark past. The more I read, the more I felt a connection to the tormented souls who had once walked these halls, particularly the whispers of MK Ultra. The very name sent shivers down my spine, conjuring images of shadowy figures and clandestine experiments.
This top-secret CIA program, shrouded in mystery and controversy, was said to have delved into the darkest corners of the human mind. Conducted in the 1950s and 60s, it was a time when the boundaries of ethical science were often blurred. Explored the use of mind-altering drugs, substances that could twist reality and break the human spirit, and psychological torture techniques for mind control. The very thought of such experiments sent chills down my spine.
I had always dismissed the more outlandish claims as conspiracy theories, the stuff of paranoid delusions and overactive imaginations. But now, trapped in the bowels of Erebus, the lines between reality and fiction began to blur. The facility's dark corridors seemed to whisper secrets, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. They took on a terrifying plausibility. Every creak, every shadow seemed to confirm my worst fears.
Were the whispers she heard, the faint, ghostly murmurs that seemed to come from nowhere, the residual echoes of tortured minds, their pain and suffering lingering in the air like a dark cloud, their agony etched into the very fabric of the facility? The walls seemed to tell a story of despair and hopelessness.
I delved into the facility's archives, hoping to find answers to make sense of the madness that surrounded me. My research illuminated by the pale glow of my computer screen. The more I uncovered, the deeper the mystery became.
She uncovered reports of experiments gone wrong, of lives destroyed in the name of science, of subjects driven to madness, their minds shattered by the relentless assault on their senses. The horror of their experiences was palpable, their minds shattered by the relentless assault on their senses. The horror of their experiences was palpable.
Fear, cold and clammy, tightened its grip on my heart. I could feel the icy tendrils of dread wrapping around me, squeezing the breath from my lungs. Was I now a subject in a modern-day M-culture experiment, my mind being manipulated by unseen forces? The thought was almost too much to bear, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was no longer in control of my own destiny.
Section 5, The Diet Law of Echo, A Descent into Madness. This chapter delves into the eerie parallels between a historical mystery and a personal descent into the unknown.
The more I learned, the more my reality fractured. Each piece of information felt like a shard of glass, cutting through the fabric of my sanity.
The story of the Dyatlov Pass incident, a chilling tale of 9 hikers who died mysteriously in the Ural Mountains, resonated deeply with her. It was as if their tragic fate was a mirror reflecting her own fears and uncertainties.
The hikers, like me, were found far from their shelter, some with strange injuries, their deaths unexplained. The eerie similarities between their plight and my own were impossible to ignore.
The official explanation, a compelling natural force, did little to quell the speculation and conspiracy theories that swirled around the incident. Theories ranged from secret military experiments to extraterrestrial encounters, each more outlandish than the last.
My mind unraveling thread by thread, I saw terrifying parallels between their predicament and my own. The more I delved into their story, the more I felt my grip on reality slipping away.
Was she like the hikers being driven to madness by an unseen force? The isolation, the fear, the inexplicable events, all seemed to conspire against her sanity.
Was there something malevolent lurking in the shadows of Erebus? Something that fed on isolation and fear? The thought gnawed at her, a constant, unrelenting presence in the back of her mind.
The line between reality and delusion blurred. Each day the distinction between what was real and what was imagined became harder to discern.
The whispers became louder, more insistent. They seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, filling her mind with a cacophony of voices. The shadows seemed to reach out to me, their touch icy cold. It was as if they were trying to pull me into their dark, twisted world.
Emma was no longer observing the descent into madness, she was living it. Her journey had become a nightmarish reflection of the Dyatlov Pass incident, a descent into a darkness from which there seemed no escape.